You are listening to the So Now What podcast with Lana Manikowski, episode number 173.
So now what? These three words raced through my mind time and time again during my journey through fertility treatments. I tried desperately to have a child, but never was able. I yearned for a community to join that could understand my struggles. I couldn't find one, so I created one with the So Now What podcast. I love that you found us.
What up, gorgeous lady? Welcome to another episode of the So Now What podcast. It is full out summer here in Chicago. It has been beautiful. We complain about weather when it's cold and then it gets hot, and then we're like, oh my God, it's so hot. I am just enjoying it and letting it be what it is because we can't change it anyway. Which brings me to a beautiful topic that I want to talk about, and how you are viewing yourself as a childless woman and somebody who clearly wanted to be a mom and tried all that you could, or prayed as hard as you could and wished as much as you could, and it did not happen. But before I get into that, I want to talk about my coaching program, Thrive After Infertility. If you listened to last week's podcast episode, you heard me talk all about it. We are going to be starting up our next class here very soon. If you have been thinking about wanting to create a life you love and a life that you feel connected to, even though your dream of motherhood did not happen, you need to get on board. You can go to the show notes. Let's talk. I'd love to tell you about the program, talk about whether it is a good fit for you, and whether the work that I do to help you feel more connected to yourself so you don't have to live in this bubble with bumpers on the rest of your life feels like something that is attractive to you. You can go and schedule a free 45-minute Thrive call. Check it out in the show notes. And yeah, let's talk, because how much more of summer or your life are you going to give away to this thing that did not happen for you? I think a lot of people don't realize that life can feel different. And that's why I want to get into this week's episode of the podcast, because it's a really, really powerful one. I know that you've lived through the heartbreak of infertility, and that, yes, you did try, you did hope, you did do everything possible that you could to become a mom. And now that you're living this life that is so different than you imagined, there might be some things that have you believing that this is just how life has to be. I spent so many of my years thinking that this is what happens. This is this label that we have. Before you click away from me and think that I'm asking you to slap on some fake positivity, which, if you know me, you know that this toxic positivity BS is not my thing. So let me explain that I spent years of my life being reactionary. I thought that being reactionary was normal, that something painful happens and I'd see a pregnancy announcement. I would get an invite to a baby shower, hear a comment from a friend, and have this realization that I was being seen as somebody who was the worst case scenario. And I would just automatically react. And it had me thinking about like those dunk tanks. Do you remember when we were kids and you'd go to the carnival and you'd see someone in this dunk tank, or maybe at your like school festival, the principal of your high school would sit in this dunk tank and you'd throw a ball, you hit the target, and boom, that person gets plunged into the cold water. That is how I felt every single day, just bracing myself, constantly feeling soaking wet from all of the emotional splashes that came when my journey through fertility treatments left me without a child. And when you're childless after infertility, it can feel like the world is just expects you to be sad, for you to feel broken, to carry the grief like this permanent weight. And you get used to other people seeing your life as less than. And then you start to believe it yourself. So, what I want to talk about today is, what if that wasn't the only option? What if the way that you feel isn't just happening to you, but something that you could actually choose? And this was something that I didn't know I could have a choice in. I just thought that you end up this way and that you just believe these things about yourself. But when I got exposed to life coaching and understanding that there is this image of emotions that is being offered to us, like I think of it as like this hors d'oeuvre table, right? You go to a party, you go to a restaurant, and there is this buffet set out, and emotions are just there: sadness, jealousy, shame, anger, peace, gratitude, maybe some empowerment. But we don't have to take everything from the appetizer table. We can notice the things that are on the table and say, hey, sadness, I see you, but I'm not choosing you right now. Right now. You can see grief on the table and still choose compassion for yourself instead of shame. And here's the thing: the thoughts that lead to these emotions that we're having, they're not bad. They're not wrong. It's not a wrong thing to think that I wish I could have been a mom, or right now my life feels less relevant next to my best friend who got to have the kids. Those are human thoughts. But if you're feeling stuck in sadness, shame, invisibility because of them, you have an option to look at them and ask, is this thought useful to me right now? Is this feeling helping me create the life that I want to live? Is this a belief I want to keep wearing? And we've just been used to thinking a certain way about women who are childless after infertility because it's what we have seen. It is what the media portrays. It is what movies portray. When you watch the woman who never had the kids, it's like we've just been told that we're supposed to be sad, left behind. We're supposed to remain quiet. And we fall into this old narrative that says if you don't have kids, your life will always feel incomplete. We think that that's the way it is. Like there's someone assigned to a seat that we're supposed to take a back row to living a life and being a certain way because we are the childless women and we are the ones that people just feel sorry for. So we accept it and we fall into line. And then we see the moms out there who have the milestones and are seen as meaningful and purposeful. And we just think that we have to accept this role. We sit into being the ones that are sad, the ones people feel sorry for, the ones who missed out on the thing that would complete us as women. So if you've been thinking that way, I just want to acknowledge you're not wrong. You're not broken for believing that. You probably just thought that that's what happens when fertility treatments end and you are left without the baby because nobody has talked to you about a different way. Nobody has handed you the tools to challenge those thoughts and to consider that this isn't the end of your relevance. Maybe it could be the start of a new and completely different identity than the one you expected, but one that you get to choose. Nobody talked to me about having a choice in the way that I felt in a life that was so different than I thought it was going to end up. So recently I was talking to one of my clients and we were talking about how we hang on to these old beliefs. Like you do that t-shirt, okay? Like I know you got one. I have them too. But that t-shirt that you just love, it's maybe has sentimental value. Maybe it is like the perfect t-shirt or blouse that goes with the outfit and fits perfectly with this pair of pants that you have, but it's got a stain on the front. Okay. And you've tried everything. You've gone to the dry cleaner, you've used Clorox wipes, you've done the shout, you've done everything, but the stain can't get out. So you just keep pulling it out and saying, oh, maybe this time it won't look as bad. Maybe I'll figure out how to lay jewelry over it to cover the stain. But every time you pull that damn shirt out, you feel disappointed. And that stain is still there. That's, in my opinion, what it's like to keep believing thoughts that no longer do things for us. They no longer allow us to see ourselves the way that we want to see. Thoughts like, I'll never be happy without a child. I'll never know love until I'm a mom. People feel sorry for me because my dream didn't happen. I have nothing meaningful to offer the world. You have worn those beliefs for way too long. Okay. I'm just going to be honest with you. That stained t shirt, it's okay to say, I love what this has meant. I loved the times I wore that, or the pictures I've seen myself wearing that shirt and my outfit looks perfect. It's time for you to make something new and create a new outfit and a new look for yourself. The woman that has been my mentor when I got my grief certification, her name is Krista St. Germain. She is not infertile. She does not do anything in this space of infertility, but she is an expert in grief. And she offered such an amazing perspective for me. She taught me that grief is not a problem. It is not something that we need to solve. It's a natural and necessary thing that is in our lives. And we don't have to move on from feeling grief about not having our dream of motherhood happen. We just have to figure out how to integrate it. It just becomes part of our story, like a scar on your body. Sometimes that scar aches, but it doesn't mean that you're broken. It means that you wanted, you desired, you loved, you hoped, and you're still here. Grief is layered. It's not about a child you didn't have. It's about a version of you that you thought you'd become. And it's about the dreams. It's about the holidays. It's about the milestones that you thought would have been. And all of that is valid, but there is beauty that you can feel, and there is grief that you'll have, and there is still joy that you can experience. You can carry sadness and still choose thoughts that move you forward. That is what post-traumatic growth is all about. That is something that I love to be able to offer to my clients, because it's not about surviving, it's about expanding into a new purpose. It's about having a different meaning. It's about finding purpose in different ways and an identity because of what you've lived through. So if you're listening to this episode and you're thinking, I've been wearing that same emotional t-shirt with a stain on it for years, I want you to know you don't have to keep reacting like you're stuck in the dunk tank. You get to decide what stays in that emotional closet. You get to feel anything, and you still can move forward with peace and connection and fulfillment, even if it looks different than you thought. If you've been feeling like you just want to figure out what to wear next, what the new look in your closet's going to be, what the new you is going to do to find meaning and connection and fulfillment in your life, I can help you. That is why I do the work that I do. That is why the clients that I work with go on to create this life that feels connective to them without needing to be toxically positive or need to act like they don't desire motherhood or that they never feel triggered or emotion again. It's about how to navigate the way that you see yourself and how to create a narrative for you that is true about you, instead of continuing to borrow this negative view of women without children in a way that makes you feel as though you need to shrink around other people. So I could help you. I would love to help you. If you want to talk more, I talked about it at the onset of this, book a Thrive call. Let's talk. Let's figure out how to stop having you be reactionary, because I want you to feel prepared. I want you to go on in this world and feel confident and feel grounded in yourself, even if people don't understand what it's like to be you. You've already lived through the hard part. Now it's time to start living on your own terms. I hope you have a beautiful week. I love you. And remember that it's never too late to discover your meaning. I'll talk to you next week. Hey, real quick, I just wanted to tell you about an awesome resource I created. If you have ever found yourself in conversations with people, or maybe people offering you suggestions about what you should do to become a mom, it's called the Top 27 Things People Say When You're Childless and How to Respond. You can get your copy free at lanamanikowski.com/things people say.